So you're thinking about moving to Excelsior Springs, Missouri? Well, your lucky day. In this video, we're going to be talking about some pros and cons, things you need to know before you consider making Excelsior Springs your home. And if you stick around to the end, we're going to tell you why Excelsior Springs, Missouri is in the Guinness Book of World Records. We're going to get started right now. Hey, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Kansas City and places like Excelsior Springs, Missouri, then click subscribe, hit that little bell for notifications so you can be the first to know the current market here in the KC metro area. My name is Zach Morton. This here is Max Jones. Hey. The Mojo Real Estate team and I have been helping people move to Kansas City for over 20 years. We absolutely love it, but you don't have to take our words for it. See what our clients have to say with over 600 5-star Google reviews from people just like you. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, you just pick up that phone, you give us a call, shoot us a text, drop us an email, even schedule a Zoom call so we can chat with you about your goals and help you with that seamless transition into your new market. All that contact information is in the description below. So let's get started. Here we are, Excelsior Springs, pros and cons.
Let's do it.
We always like to keep it positive, so we'll start with the first pro on our list, and that's cost of living.
There's no better place or less expensive than Excelsior Springs for the Northland of Kansas City for sure.
Yeah, it's coming in right at 85% of the national average when you take all the things that they take into account for cost of living. So 85% cheaper, or 85%,
yeah, 15% cheaper.
To hang out in Excelsior and call that your home than living down closer to Kansas City. So that's pretty sweet. That takes into account like groceries, utilities, healthcare, and housing. Not to give it away, but housing is going to be the #1 reason that makes it the most affordable place to live in around the Kansas City area.
Yeah, a lot less expensive than areas adjacent to Kearney and Liberty. A lot less expensive and only about 10-15 minutes away from those areas.
Yeah, you're still 30 minutes away from Kansas City City Center, but from those other hot pockets that he's just talking about, you're super close. So it's kind of, as we've been sitting here discussing this before we hit record, it's kind of a sweet little spot that gets kind of a bad reputation for one reason or another, but we kind of think that there might be a lot of opportunity there, especially if you're looking for acreage properties, which we've got clients right now that are building barn dominiums and really taking advantage of the cheaper acreage in the Excelsior area.
Yeah, the price per acre is very affordable. So not only the housing, but if you want to build a house there, that's one of the most expensive parts is the land. They're not making more of it, and it's getting pretty pricey these days.
Yeah. So let's see, next on our pros is, the housing prices, go figure. And this is going to take everything into account because some of this is acreage sales with a house on it and some of this is just a house on a lot. But when you take it all down, we break it down, the median sold price over the last 12 months straight from our MLS is $227,000, which is pretty sweet. You know, Kansas City in a whole, we're in that $330 to $350 price point. So $277 for a nice house, potentially, or $227, I'm sorry, for a nice house and potentially on some land is a pretty sweet thing. We do have the median active price right now is at $407, but you know, it doesn't really matter what they're asking for, it matters what you get it for, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Heck yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I think it just dovetails with the cost of living. A lot of that less, you know, what makes it less expensive is that housing price. So the rest of it is, I think, relatively on board. You know, gas isn't any less expensive there, or groceries aren't any less expensive in Excelsior. I think it really has to do with the price that you're paying for the housing.
Yeah. What do we have next here for the pros is, I guess we kind of touched on it, but just to reiterate again, the acreage opportunities. Lots of land left in Excelsior and around Excelsior. Excelsior Springs itself is 10.5 square miles. Population's about 10,000 people as well. So there's not a whole lot of acreage options right there, but when you get into the school district, which is 90 square miles, which is, 9 times bigger than just Excelsior Springs itself, tons of acreage opportunities pop up. So stress that enough. If you need 5 acres, 10 acres, 20, I mean, sky's the limit over there.
Yeah, especially on the south and west sides where you don't actually have to go through Excelsior Springs. The land right there, because it has an Excelsior address, is less expensive than a Liberty or Kearney address when they're only, I mean, they're really,
Could be across the street.
yeah, it could be across the street. It's not too far as the, you know, stone's throw away, and a lot less expensive price per acre. So I think it's actually a big trend right now of people that are wanting to get out, stretch out, get a little land, get a barn dominium, build exactly what they want, and you know, place for their toys and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity that exists in Excelsior Springs that doesn't exist in Kearney and Liberty.
Yeah, we'll see people doing that not only to live on it, but also hobby farms, because the acreage is still pretty cheap. So you can go out there, you know, get 40 acres, build your little barn with your, keep your toys in, go out there and play in the summertime, and then hunt. People deer hunt and do different things on the land in the wintertime too. So lots of opportunities there.
Yep.
Next we have for pros is the small town vibe, and it's only 30 minutes from Kansas City. So that's exactly it. It is a small town vibe.
It is. I mean, it's if you look at it on the map, and I definitely recommend you watch Zach's map tour, this map video of Excelsior Springs, but you'll see it's fairly isolated. It's its own little pocket with its own downtown, old school downtown. There's a lot of history in Excelsior Springs, which we won't really get into. You can check out Zach's vlog video, which will go a little more in depth in the history of Excelsior, but it has an old school downtown, and even in the more commercialized areas around that, it's pretty small town. They don't have the big box stores. They've got a Westlake Hardware. They've got a few little stores, so you don't really need to leave Excelsior, but it's kind of got a country, small town feel to it that even Kearney, which used to, is getting away from, and Liberty definitely is. There's no small town feel to Liberty
It's
anymore.
off the charts now.
So if that's what you're looking for, where you know, kind of the cheers, everybody knows your name, you know, when you go out to the store, and very safe and that sort of thing, then in fact, you'll even see the crime rates in Excelsior Springs have gone way down since the 90s. So it's got a nice small town vibe to it.
Yep, absolutely. Next, and it's only 30 minutes away from downtown. So that's something I wanted to touch on. It's like Leavenworth is another one of those cities. We have a vlog on that. That's kind of the same distance from Kansas City, but the highway system that you have to take to get there, it's like old country roads. So the highway access to get to Excelsior is actually pretty sweet. You get 2 lanes going both directions. It is kind of some rolling hills. It's kind of a pretty drive, to tell you the truth. It's relaxing when you're going out there and seeing the countryside, but it's easy to get to. It's not a bunch of stoplights. It's not a dangerous, windy road. If you've got kids and you're living out there and they're driving to the city, you're not going to be nervous about them sliding off the road, because there's no, you've got shoulders and all that good stuff. So I do like, getting there and getting out of there. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's 2 lanes separated by a grass median, so it almost feels like an interstate.
Yeah.
So it's very safe, and yeah, you can be in Liberty in 10 minutes, and you can be in downtown Kansas City in 20, probably, or 20 on top of that, 30 minutes, and then probably maybe 25 minutes to the airport.
Yeah.
So, location-wise, even though you get that nice small town feel, it's pretty nice highway access and location.
Yep. Next we have, we kind of touched on that, the highway access, so I just rolled right into it. So I think that there's probably lots of other good things. There's parks, and there is some things to do outside, go fishing and stuff, but let's get into, it can't all be roses and sunshine, so let's talk about the cons, the things you need to know before you consider making this your home. First on our list here is shopping options. So Max kind of touched on that already, but there's not a whole lot. You've got 2 grocery store. Well, we've got an Aldi's, there is a Walmart, and then there is a Price Chopper, I believe. Going blank here. But so you've got 2 main grocery stores, and then you have the Walmart. So those are your grocery options. And then there is the True Value, the hardware store. There is an auto parts store, but beyond that, there's not, there's a couple little strip malls out there that'll have a couple things and some fast food restaurants, but there's not a whole lot of shopping If you go downtown towards the main street, there's going to be a few blocks of mom and pop kind of stuff and boutiques. So that's probably where you're going to go. That's more gift shopping and some clothes and stuff. So not a huge shopping selection. Probably going to be heading towards Kansas. Well, probably head towards Liberty or the Northland of Kansas City if you're going to be doing some serious shopping. But there's enough stuff there to get you by.
Yeah, there are a few nice places to go as far as restaurants. There's the Wabash Barbecue. There's a brewery there.
Yeah, there's a brewery. There's also like an old drive-in where you drive your car up and they come out and take your order and eat in your car. So there's some fun stuff to do. And the restaurants actually down there on the main street are all fairly highly rated. You know, several hundred Google reviews, like 4.5, 4.7 stars. So good food.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean there are nice places to go if you're local to do your day-to-day, but you know, just shopping as far if you want to go buy some clothes or some furniture or something that's a little more refined, then you might want to head out of town and go downtown or go to Liberty and get your shopping needs that way.
Yep. Next on our cons is school rating. So overall, niche.com gives this a B- for the Excelsior. What you've got in Excelsior is you have 3 elementaries, there's 1 middle school, and then 1 high school. And just to give you an idea about the size of the high school, like I told you, it's 90 square miles is the school district, and you've got 1,000 kids in the high school. So not super densely populated by any means, but that's kind of what's going on. And usually we see this on school ratings when you have a smaller population size, you're a little further from the city. You know, these schools are all funded by property taxes. And when there's less housing, smaller cities, it's just kind of how you end up. So they're still not horrible. There's certainly worse places in Kansas City to go to school. So like I said, this is landing in the B's. A lot of ratings, you know, when they're A through B, or when they're rating the letter scale, it's in the B's. Numbers are coming in like 6, 7s, and 8s, depending on which school you're in. So still not horrible, but not the highest ratings.
Yeah, I mean, the flip side of that coin is sometimes in the more highly rated schools, you get lost in the crowd. You have thousands of kids that you go to school with, and yes, the academics are on point, and yes, they have the best sports in the world and all that. But it can be difficult to make a team as a kid. And whereas in Excelsior, there's a lot less competition. There's a lot less, the class sizes are smaller. So you may look at that, what could be perceived as a con for some, you might see that as a positive. Really, it kind of depends on what your goals are and what your needs are. So, you know, we could explore that further, exactly what you're looking for in a school district, what your values are, and that would steer us into guiding you there.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of good resources for that, greatschools.org and niche.com and several others if you want to dive into the schools. This school district also has a pretty good website that you can jump on and scroll through that as well. The next thing on our cons list is getting to the east side of town.
Yeah, it's a bear. You come through the main drag, what is that, Kearney Road, and it turns into 10 Highway that goes out east, and it goes into the downtown, and it has this weird switchback that the elevation changes, so you kind of go down a cliff and it winds around, and then you go through a couple stop signs downtown, and it's a nightmare. If you live on the east side of town and you have to get through that every day for your commute, you're not gonna love it.
Yeah, to say the least. And there's not a lot that I think that could be done with it because of the way that, like you said, it's on a cliff. There's one way in and one way out. You could go south down through some country roads, but that's gonna be even worse. So I think, yeah, and during rush hour, it's like a blinking red light. It gets congested and you're sitting on that for a while. So something to know before you decide to move to the east side of town.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually one of the most distinctive things about Excelsior Springs. When I think about it, I'm like, oh boy, that damn road that goes through there. It's one of the first things I think about. So it's definitely something you'll want to know about as a con, because you potentially have to deal with that on a daily basis if you move there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one. We have this on our cons list too. It could be a pro or a con, just distance to the city. So it does take a little bit to get out of there and get all the way down to Kansas City. You're looking at about 30 minutes. So if you're working downtown, especially if you're on the east side of that downtown area like he just talked about, it can be kind of a bear to get all the way down there. So something to keep in mind. But if you like that small town vibe, you like being out a little ways, and maybe you're working from home, then it's a sweet little spot.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's just, it depends on you. If you have to commute to downtown for work, it's a con because that's too much. But if you don't and you work from home and you just occasionally like to go into downtown, it's actually a pro because it's not too far based on having that small town living that you're looking for. So it just kind of depends on what you're wanting to go down there for, whether it's a pro or con for you.
Exactly. Next we have on our cons is pockets of old dilapidated homes.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is another distinctive thing that I think about with Excelsior Springs, and I think it's what contributes to the overall perception of Excelsior being a little less desirable than a Kearney, even though they're pretty similar. I mean, Kearney's on 35, which is a little nicer, more convenient, but those pockets of old dilapidated homes, I think that is a lot about what people think of when they think of Excelsior Springs.
Yeah, because you see that like as soon as you go through downtown, that street when you're heading east through Excelsior, it takes you right by that, and you're going down 210, and there's just this line of houses that you see, and it's just half of them are dilapidated. I'm not 100% sure. I would imagine there's kind of a river bottom there, that they're probably in a floodplain too, and a lot of them are rentals and just not kept up great. So, I mean, you hit it on the head because that's what I think of too when I think of trying to get through downtown, bunch of crappy houses, and then poof, I'm out into the countryside.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I think that's maybe one of the biggest cons that Excelsior Springs struggles with is just a perception issue. That getting through that windy little road, and then the downtown has these pockets of junky little homes that don't look nice, but surrounding the area are tons of really nice acreage properties that you can get at a discount because of that perception issue. So just like every pro and every con, it's really a yin and a yang,
yeah,
or the opposite side of the same coin, and kind of how you want to look at it.
Awesome. And then I think that kind of hits our con list. So we said if you stick around to the end, we're going to tell you why Excelsior Springs is in the Guinness Book of World Records. And Excelsior Springs, there's the key word for you right there. There is a lot of springs there. In fact, there's over 40 that they've discovered over the years. And a lot of these are mineral springs. And so apparently there's more mineral springs in Excelsior than any other place in the world. And throughout history, we won't get into it, but a lot of people have come here and they were on their deathbed and they drank some of this water and they got better. And over the years, it was bottled and sold to different places when that was in vogue, and people were trying different potions to get better. And now there is the Elms Hotel, which is down there, and it used to have some of those minerals in the water, and still a prestigious hotel. When you check out the vlog tour, we'll talk about that a little bit, but presidents have stayed there, US presidents. So just kind of a unique and cool history, and a lot of little weird things going on there in Excelsior.
Is it sodium bicarbonate?
It's all kinds of different stuff. So
different minerals.
There's some of that. There's I can't even remember them all.
Yeah, I think they would come to Excelsior Springs, and then get in the springs and think that they were healed when it turns out they just need to take a bath.
Yeah, that could have been it too. I have no doubt.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
No, I'm just kidding. It is a really neat part of Excelsior. Actually, there was some caves where they did some mining of minerals in Excelsior Springs, and we went up there as kids one time to play in those caves. What was that park?
It is called Rocky Hollow Park.
Rocky Hollow. Oh yeah, they hollowed out the rocks.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. And, yeah, we went up there as kids and explored those caves, and it's a long story, but it's a really neat part of town, and cool that it made the Guinness Book of World Records for being the most, what is it, the most minerals?
Most mineral springs in one location.
Cool. Very cool.
Different minerals. you know, all the good stuff. Yeah, we got lost in that cave too, by the way. So when you go exploring caves, you know.
Hey, my mom might be watching this video. I don't want to get in trouble.
I know, we're past that, I think. Hopefully our kids don't watch this video.
There you go. Give them some ideas.
Yeah. So anyway, man, we appreciate you guys watching these videos, giving us a like and subscribing, all that good stuff. It helps other people find us. We will see you on the next one. And remember, you got a couple friends in the business.
We'll see you then.